Sometimes you can lose money.
That is how I lost $1 million.
Oh my God. All right, Nima, you were always saying about how savvy you are with your money, with your investing, but I heard you lost $1 million.
First off, welcome.
Welcome.
And yeah,
Wrong podcast.
the answer to that is yes. I think that any successful person that you will ever talk to will have lost money.
$1 million?
Well, let's talk about how I lost $1 million, and let's differentiate
How did you lose
between
$1 million?
That being in real estate, or was it through another financial investment? And is that why I love real estate so much?
Okay, well, tell us the story. How did you lose the $1 million?
So I was in my,
Where'd it go?
I was in my 20s, and I had a client come and tell me that he had a broker, little birdie, song and dance, that there was a oil field, I believe it was in Argentina or Venezuela. They were going to find oil. And the stock was, and everyone can look up the ticker. Most people back then will remember it was called Interoil, IOC. And, I bought options. What are options? So a lot of people make their money in the stock market. Mm-hmm. Why do we talk about real estate? Why do we choose real estate? We'll let Eric discuss that a little bit too. Is it a safer investment? And I think this story justifies why I became at that moment cemented in the fact that real estate is the best way to invest your money. So I bought options. So the real money into it was probably about 20 to 40,000 bucks. I don't remember exactly.
But wait, just to clear this up, you're buying stock options in a piece of land in Argentina.
No, in a company.
In a company
that owns a piece of land.
Got it.
That has investors that are saying they're looking for oil, and if they find oil, the stock will fly.
Okay.
Right? Not 5-10%, it just shoots. And I'm being told it's a sure thing. And I think anybody who's lost money in the stock market has been told that their investment is a sure thing by some broker who gets a piece or a VIG. All the stuff I think that you watch on TV is true. I think these brokers make their commission. They get paid to incentivize to push stocks, right? I genuinely believe that. So I bought these options. And they were going up because there's a lot of speculation, and that's what it is.
All right.
Now, the thing with options is they expire, right? So you can trade those options. I'm not going to get into explaining what an option is, but the idea is you buy the rights to a stock. So you buy the right to a stock at a certain number. So let's say I buy the right to the stock at $2. The person who owns the stock sells me that right? So if the stock hits a certain number, I can exercise my right, but I get that stock at $2.
Got
so
it.
I make on the spread, and it's volumized, because it's much cheaper. So I can buy a lot more at the option price than the actual stock. So
Sort of like Costco for stocks. Go ahead.
sure, right? But you're buying the inventory before it gets to Costco,
Right,
right?
there you
And then
go.
you have the right to own it before it's resold at a
There
higher
we go.
number. So, all right. So there's
wholesale.
speculation, and I'm set that this is a game changer. And I'll never forget it. I logged on to my app and I saw that the value of my options were, whether it was exactly $1 million or 900 something thousand, it was right there. Right?
And you're in your 20s. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind,
Sell.
No, in my mind,
It's gonna
hold.
go
The news
up.
is going to come out. If it's here before the news, my rip is going to be a $10 million rip. Insane ROI, right?
Yeah.
And I held. And I woke up the next morning.
And
And
they
I had
found
all
nothing.
I had all my alerts on, and bing, 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 bing. And I looked, and it said that the news came out, and they had found nothing. And I logged into my trading account, and my options were worth
Zero.
No, like $624.
Oh my God.
So literally the night before, all I had to do was sell those options, right? Now, that's assuming there was a buyer for it, which I believe there was, because it was a high volume option, and I could have taken that money, put it in the bank, paid my capital gains, and moved on with my life.
Greedy
or I
pigs.
could have sold half of it.
Greedy pigs
right?
get slaughtered. You've heard of that
Yep.
expression?
I could have docked half the money.
Yep.
Right. So when I say I lost $1 million, I lost in that moment. That was the value of my options that I could have gotten. So if I sold
lost
it, I
it.
would have had it.
Yeah, you
So
had it.
My real money I lost
You only
out
had
of
it
pocket
for an hour, but you had it.
the day.
Yeah.
Right. The real money that it was going up until then. So I
Right.
watched it go up. So the real money I lost out of pocket, sure. But the way I look at it is, it's like you log in your stock account. That's what you have. You could liquefy that. That's yours.
Yep.
Yeah, but you went to bed that night thinking, well, I can do this and I can do
I
this.
was
and
looking
I
at
can
shit online. I was going to buy.
I'm sure you were.
You have no idea the
Right?
stuff I wanted to
He had
buy.
it in
He
his
picked out
Amazon
3
cart. He was ready to
Rolexes.
press
Rolexes. I was
order.
looking at houses for like $5 million. Like, I'm like, all right, like, look at this Lambo. I don't like the color interior. You know, I had spent that money before I even made it.
Right.
You know, I just looked at my phone and
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's look at, you know, Daddy Big
Calling up
Bucks.
ex-girlfriends being like, guess what
Jeez,
happened to
I'm
me?
texting Alec Baldwin being like, not Baldwin, what's his name? Alec Monopoly being like, hey, bro, I'll meet you in Monaco.
That happened to a lot of people in the crypto world too.
Yes.
I had a friend that invested like 100,000 and it went up to $800,000. And not being in those worlds and being a real estate guy, I'm like, holy shit, you made so much money. At least sell half of it. Take out half of that money and put it into something else.
That's what an intelligent
And he
financial
wouldn't
guy
do
does.
it. And then months later, there you go.
So that is how I lost $1 million.
Now,
So sorry for you.
have you ever invested in stocks after that again?
I, in that moment, decided it is not for me, that real estate is what I know. Real estate, you will never lose money in real estate. What do I mean? Even if you buy something and you overpay for it and it's underwater and it's under market value, as long as you service it,
Yep.
I will promise everyone here in 30 years, based off of inflation, average cost of rising real estate, and other adjustments, you will either be flush or you will be in the positive.
As long as you can hold it, as long as you can rent it. I
Even
agree.
if you stay in it and you overpay,
Yep.
right? You will end up, for the most part, at least flush. I truly don't believe you can lose money in real estate.
But the problem, and we've talked about this before, the problem is that real estate is hard to become liquid. So you might have this wonderful building, you might have a ton of wonderful buildings, but what if you need that cash tomorrow? On stocks, you can go on and you can sell off portions right away.
Sure.
And become liquid.
You could borrow-
liquid like
you could
that.
borrow
That's not
money.
true either. Listen, a stock is just like a piece of real estate. You need to have a buyer.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't get sold to space that just collects the money. You put it on, it's like you put it on a market like an MLS, and a buyer comes and says, I'm willing to pay this much for
Okay.
it. There's been times I've listed a stock, and remember, the price changes every second.
Sure.
So there's times I've listed stocks and no one's bought it for a couple days.
I
It's
think
not
most
as
people
liquid
don't
as you
realize that part of the stock.
I didn't.
They think it's
Yeah,
it
I
just
thought it was
trades
pretty
instantly.
instantaneous.
It's not like I
Right.
click and just goes into the universe. Now, if that's why when people buy stocks, you look at its trade volume, because companies with low trade volume, right? You may
It's
own the
suck.
stock, but it's not liquid. To your question, yes, I have invested in stocks,
Okay.
but I do it like Vegas now. I take like 5-10 grand and I buy bullshit penny stocks that pop up on Yahoo, right? And I ride the wave. Because I know someone back there is playing shenanigans.
Wolf
I
of
may
Wall
not know
Street.
them, but listen, I'll make a little rip. If I collect it, I collect it. Most
Yeah.
of the time, I end up losing all my money. But I put that money in knowing I'm going to lose it, and I'll write it off at the end of the
Well,
year.
you're just
as
having fun.
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
loss.
Okay.
All right.
Agreed.
But look, I'm not saying the stock market's beat. The S&P produces 10+% a year on aggregate average. You know, for my kids, I have, invest in, mutual funds that are S&Ps, right? Because they're somewhat safe bets, especially now that one
And you're
company
doing
owns
long-
like 98% of them.
And you're doing long-term holds with that. You're just putting it in there and holding.
Yeah, I lost
And you're
money.
just right.
But personally, myself, no, I don't see it as a means of my investment, my security. Listen,
That's not your comfort zone. We're not into stocks, but there are plenty of people that do.
nine,
That's just not us.
a large portion of people watching this podcast, right?
Have stocks.
They're yes, but they're not our generation. They haven't lived through what we lived through, right?
Like, what do you mean?
Okay.
Explain
You're so
that.
old.
Explain
I
that.
want
'Cause
everyone watching this
I don't know
podcast.
what generation he's talking about.
Comment below right now. Comment below. Comment below.
How old you are?
No. Yes or no if you know about Enron.
Of course.
Yes, I know about Enron.
Right?
Does that
Because
make
we-
me a woman of a certain age?
Yes.
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 Oh.
If you ask most kids about Enron, especially if there wasn't a Netflix special on it, what the hell is that?
Right.
Yeah.
People forget that like there was a time where there were companies dedicated to driving around to see if these companies that are traded on the stock market are even real.
Right.
Right? But a lot of people now are fed just so much short-term bullshit that they're caught up in this world of everything they buy is a secure asset. Like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, there's Shiba Inu,
Shiba
the-
Inu.
like,
There's a
look-
great Netflix show that just came out, Bitcon. I watched it. All
Did
about
you?
The,
Was it good?
the
these
reality
guys stole
is,
$32 million from people. It was
all
crazy.
day, that's nothing. There's people doing far worse. The reality is you can't get caught. for the most part, if you buy your real estate properly and get title insurance, you
can
own
feel it. You can hit it.
You own it.
Well, are there some tax benefits that you see with real estate that you do not see with stocks?
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
there's like depreciation, right? None of us are qualified to really discuss those, but in general, yeah. I mean, you got to remember the wealthiest people in the world are real estate. Our feudal age is not really much adjusted, right? Even our buddy Jeff Bezos, who owns one of the world's most profitable companies,
Has real estate.
His new business venture is buy one family houses through a fund.
Yeah.
Like even he realizes,
Okay.
you know, the Lord owns the land. You know, that's just,
Who is the Lord?
I mean,
It
depends.
never goes away, and you can feel it, you can touch it, you can walk on it, you can hit it.
Unless
you
you're on
can-
the ocean, and then with global warming, you never know. So buy inland with a water view.
Sure, buy on the hills of Malibu because beachfront will be you. Look, but just the reality is, it is a different type of investment,
That
right?
rhymes, by
and
the way.
if you lose your money in real estate, it's because you're stupid. That's the bottom line.
Well, whoa, wait.
There are
You're-
people that speculate in real estate, and sometimes you can lose money.
Well, what things can go wrong to make you lose money in real estate? Explain that to me.
If
Okay,
you're-
you can watch the wrong podcast, get bad information.
If you're buying a
about shit.
property that if you're speculating that a casino is going to get approved in a certain location, right? I think this happened somewhere in the Catskills or Monticello, New York, where they were supposed to be a casino. People bought up all the land around it. The casino didn't get approved, and then the land
'Cause
was
there was
worth
nothing
less
going
than what
on
they
there.
paid. So in any event, it does happen. Okay, so if you're speculating, just like with the stocks, if you're speculating, you know you're going to have risk, but it's not going to go to zero. The land's always going to have some level of
Some
value.
value.
You could always be creative, and if you bought all that land and the casino doesn't go through, you can go and try to build something else there. There's ways, you know. Whereas when a stock dies, it usually just dies.
But that's dead.
Yeah,
There's no coming back.
There's
And you
nothing
have
left.
You have no control. You give someone else your money and you have zero control. There's nothing you can do to save your investment. There's nothing you can do to restructure your investment.
That's true.
There's nothing you can do. That money is in the stockverse and other people control it.
Yep.
And you have no idea their intentions. You don't know who's up there manipulating these stocks. And please, let's be honest, our SEC, all this nonsense, you know, what you see on a daily in the stock market, it's unjustifiable. It's unjustifiable the way the stock market is compared to every other economic metrics. Why is it unjustifiable? Because a couple large funds that control majority of the world's wealth own up a majority
Sure.
of the interests in the companies that make up these groupings like the S&P 500. Of course it's manipulated, in my opinion.
Isn't real estate manipulated though? I mean, you have big companies that are buying up all the single family homes.
real estate can be
How are they
manipulated,
manipulating?
but it's harder.
How are they
much harder.
manipulating the value of that property? They're not. It's got comps.
If you own a hospital, or you're on the board of a hospital and you're saying, hey, we're going to go buy this location, even though you're not, and you float it out there and you get it out there, that's manipulation if you don't buy it, if you're doing it on
that's
purpose.
that's like peeing in the ocean.
But
Listen,
you could do it.
One business yes, it can affect the value of real estate, but to a minor extent. It won't raise it 200% and wipe it out. Let's look at a prime example. Everybody thought that Amazon was going to put up in Long Island City.
Right? I remember that.
Yep.
You saw an increase in purchases.
Yeah.
You saw an increase in, it's a couple percentage points. Nothing went up 50, 80%. It just didn't happen. You don't
Well,
have,
I think some of the commercial probably went up more than that. But
look, do the research. Nothing
Yeah.
went nuts because most people who are smart investors know that until the approval's there, until there's an Amazon there, it's not there, right? So that goes back to what I just said. If you lose money in real estate, it's because you're stupid and you did something wrong. If you choose to gamble and speculate, you made that choice.
Yep.
No one
Yep.
made it for
That's
you.
in everything.
Nobody told you
in everything.
Amazon is coming here for sure.
okay,
You read
so
it, you
you're
know.
basically saying you won't lose real estate if you're not speculating you won't lose money in real estate if you're not speculating.
Sure, you may not make as
Right,
much money because
right.
listen, real estate has spectrums. You can invest conservatively, smartly in areas where the returns are, and typically, like in anything that you invest in, the lower your profit margins, the more secure the investment. The higher your margins, the more unsecure your investment, in the sense that there is more volatility, right, within your purchase. So yeah, if you want to hit big, you sometimes got to risk big.
Sure.
So it all depends on the investor. But what I love is you have that control. You control your level of risk. you're not giving your money to a stock where a board or this or a third-party sub-agenda involves your level of risk, right?
Agreed, yes.
Look at Disney. The stock value of Disney has been hurt over the last couple of years, right? But you think Bob Iger's sitting there thinking about the mom and pop shops or the one person who invested, this guy wants to buy a house and this is his return. He's making decisions that he thinks is best for the company, right? But a lot of them are also socially motivated. A lot of people have a problem with Disney now because they're saying, hey, you're not pandering to your audience, which is mom and dads of families. You're effectively pandering to groups of, gender this and that. And fine, both are equally important. But he's making that choice and he's got the power. Yes. You don't as the investor.
Right.
You can get on a board meeting, call and complain, but bro, you own 12 shares. Shut the hell up, Well,
every person matters. Every person matters. So let's just bring this back to you losing $1 million, which you didn't really lose $1 million. Well,
I had it.
You had it, and then you didn't have it.
But no.
It was gone.
He got greedy, and he lost it. He lost it.
Right. But
I'm so sorry for your loss.
It was a great learning experience.
Yes.
Look, when we were,
I don't want that learning
when COVID
experience.
started, I made a ton of money. Not a ton. I made like a few $1,000s a day sitting on my phone in Miami, trading like one stock.
Okay.
Right? Because it would just go up and down. All those, they were like making some kind of math, and COVID had not really gone nuts yet, right?
Yeah.
But you've stayed in real estate throughout.
Yeah, that's funny money. That's like going to Vegas or AC. I'm gonna play with $5,000. I lose it. I make it. It's great.
What's your final word to our viewers on how they should be investing their money for their future? From your experience, just from your life experience.
Talk to a financial consultant.
Buy real
That's
estate.
a way out, but
Buy
you're a
real
lawyer.
estate.
It's fine.
But forget me being a lawyer. How, that is such a loaded question. So if anyone, it's important. I'm glad you asked that because people live off of 15 seconds of information. Our entire population now wants to absorb complex theories in 15 seconds. They go on Instagram, they go on TikTok, all this other bullshit. They watch 15 seconds and take that as gospel without realizing there's so many extrinsic factors.
True.
However, they have access to people such as yourself, Eric, who have lived these things and now can benefit from your experience.
How can I possibly tell someone in a 15-second highlight reel how they should invest their future? I have no idea about their level of risk, their threshold of risk, what their debt is, what are they paying 20% on their credit cards? Because in that case, don't buy real estate, pay off your credit cards, right? There's so many multiple facts. How should you live your life? Pay off your highest level of debts, and when you're not paying anything more than 9 to 10%, buy into an investment that yields you at least 10% on your money. But do not do that if you're paying 29% interest on your credit cards.
And that's not even always true. I have to disagree with you. If you have a great
so?
opportunity, normally for the average person, that's true.
How good of an opportunity can you possibly have that'll make you 30% a year?
If you have an approval that's definitely happening and you want to buy something because you know it's going to be worth $200,000 more in 6 months, but you're paying $30,000, you have a $30,000 credit card at 29%, I leave the credit card and I go buy the property.
Okay.
He's talking to people who do not have the
We don't know
amount
who
of
he's talking. We don't know who we're
experience.
talking to. We're talking to everybody.
I'm assuming. He's talking to people who do not have the amount of experience that you do. You are much more apt to take risks because you know what you're doing.
Yes.
Even in that scenario, even if you don't have, so let me rephrase. Always go in the area with the highest return, and
Perfect.
remember.
There we go.
There we
remember.
go. Kudos.
Remember, saving is also a return. Not paying 30% is like making 30%. Remember that,
Yes.
because people forget that, and they live in a world of debt.
Yes.
Look, if you have an opportunity that it will give you more than 30%, then yes, take
But
the
you
30%.
and I have both been in situations where we've borrowed, paid high interest rates because we are going for a bigger gain somewhere else.
100%.
Yes.
It's how you deploy your capital.
Yes,
but that's a much more complex,
Sure,
advanced
yeah,
theory. I'm
yeah.
looking at the most simplest way
Understood.
possible, right? Make sure your income in terms of your return is always higher than your outcome, your debt. Because again, 30% on your credit card is stupid.
And it's
when
not
you're
ta-
making
and it's
4%
not
on real
tax
estate.
And it's not tax deductible.
Right?
I don't know that.
I don't think it is.
So,
Whereas a real estate loan is.
I thought interest in general is
interest
tax.
is, but I think it's
Interest
just
on
real
your
estate.
card,
I don't think
no.
you can.
I don't know.
if people have questions, I want them to leave comments because they're going to have questions about this. Where
Yes.
are you in your risk?
Tell us.
Yeah, let us know. Thanks for watching this episode. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next time.